Hello and welcome back to Agents of Chaos, ladies and gentlemen, and submarines. Some other vehicle, I don't know. Improv intros for the win.
Can't wait until we run out of those.
I joined the Marines. Question: am I immortal?
What?
I know what you're referencing.
This is now the reference show.
We're just
At least our references are funny.
I mean, yeah, that is true.
But yeah, we are back with another episode of us just talking about anime and stuff.
I love stuff.
And as usual, I am Crunch, joined by my two brothers in the arms of chaos, QB and Scotty.
Hello.
Greetings from the frigid north. I bring winter come.
I love Game of Thrones. My favorite bit is when Tyrion slaps Joff. That's always fun.
Watching
Say something and I will slap you again.
Go on, go tell her. He's going to remember that. I'd hope so. And if he forgets, we should be a good dog and remind him. Peter Dinklage fucking made that series. I don't care what anyone... Like, the rest of the cast, like, a lot of them were solid, but Peter Dinklage made that damn show. Like, that dude carried so much.
I mean, yeah, but then again, Tyrion did send most of the show absolutely sloshed.
Yeah.
I mean, true, but you still pulled it out pretty well.
Yeah.
I just imagine Buddy Dinklage was like, a shame this isn't real wine.
Go through the show drunk.
Maybe on the later seasons.
And today we're talking about many things.
Yes.
Many things.
On today's show, we are going to be discussing the wonderful world that is Fate Collide and why magical girls are a thing. We'll be diving into Attack on Titan, because one of us here just recently binged through everything that's available at the moment.
Hello.
You are a crazy motherfucker.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
And then at the end, Scotty will have his fun talking about Gundams. Because giant robots, except are these actually giant robots? I don't know. This franchise is weird.
I want to talk about Darling in the Franxx.
Well, these giant robots aren't technically giant robots, but...
Buy a set to understand. Buy a figure to understand.
If you've got the patience, buy a model kit. If you don't have the patience, there are action figures. They're cheap as fuck. It's called the Gundam Universe line, and they actually look pretty good on the shelf.
Let's talk about Fate.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yep. It's more specific.
I need to go get the tears of my enemies.
I love the fact we picked not like one of the easy ways to not one of the easy entries of Fate, like Fate Zero or Stay Night or any of that. No, we go for the magical girl iteration because it's us.
Well, I also just love the fact that this even freaking exists. It's like, Fate by itself is just a weird-ass franchise, given where it started. And then somebody decided, hey, you know what would be great? If we made a magical girl series based in this franchise of really messed up crap. And then someone else had the brilliant idea, alright, who do we make the main character? Let's pick Ilya, the one who always has the saddest stories in any of those routes.
I mean, you say that, and yet I can think of there are other of just taking taking like an established franchise and then spinning them off into a magical girl series. That has happened before. Again.
Also, what year did season 1 come out for Ilya again? Wasn't it like 2012 or something like that, 2011?
I do not remember, actually.
I'm looking.
All I know is when I first saw this was after I had binged through like Stay Night, Zero, Blade Works, and then I was just like looking around. It's like, what other Fate stuff can I look at? And then I discovered this exists. I'm like, well, let's see what kind of shenaniganeries this entails. And boy.
No, the first series came out in 2013.
I'm just trying to think if there was anything that could have like pushed like a magical girl kind of because
it's Japan and it's a convoluted franchise.
Yeah, usually with a lot of these things, it's usually they go for what's most popular at the time for spin-offs.
I mean...
Yeah, let's talk about the fucking ridiculousness that is this show from the beginning.
Okay, so, start me, you've heard this one before. We have the two best characters, which are Rin and Luvia, am I correct in saying it?
Yeah, that's her name.
Yeah, also, the best characters in the show. Anyway,
the best.
Scotty.
Yeah.
This version of Rin is the best one.
She's pretty entertaining though.
I don't know, she's just insane. Yeah, Rin Tosaka is basically in most of the other Fate iterations at some point.
Like, Rin is legitimately might as well be the mascot girl for this entire franchise. Like,
she's in more her iterations of her that look like her. I think are in more than Artoria, or more things than Artoria.
That's pretty legitimate considering we have she's
in all the Stay Night iterations. She was in a version of her was in Last Encore.
There's a version of her in
Grand Order.
What about Ishtar?
With Ishtar.
Yeah.
But technically Ishtar is Ren and Ren is Ishtar, but we won't get
Yeah.
I still need to watch Grand Order.
But yeah, so yeah, basically they're sent to like Japan to find like because like the servants in this universe are like they have like this magic. It's kind of like they have like their own dimensions, don't they, or something like that? Where they like.
So apparently in this universe, the servants are set up as class cards, essentially.
You activated my card, getting that joke out the way.
Yeah, and apparently something's going on. So these two were sent to Japan to deal with it. But because they hate each other to no avail, they end up fighting. And then there are two magical sticks who talk, by the way. Let's get that point out of the way. The sticks in this universe that gives the main characters their powers talk.
And they are funniest.
They really are. They are absolutely hilarious. But no, the two sticks are just like, basically tell them, hey, we're sick of your shit. We're just going to ditch you. And then they end up finding new masters.
And that one of them is Ilya.
And as soon as Ilya gets picked up, she goes, contract.
Almost.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In this version, Shiro is Ilya's like
adopted brother, which is
it's fun.
It's Japan sliding in one of their favorite tropes for some reason. I don't know why Japan loves that so much.
I don't know.
Anyway, the Big Brother trope is just too good.
No, it's not. Anyway, let me get to and then it's basically them they basically partner up with Rin and Luvia. The two. There's the other one. What was her name? Miyu.
Yeah.
A very memorable character because I couldn't remember her name. Anyway, yeah. So it's them they have to go and collect cards using their magical power. And the show's kind of, because we're talking about season 1 because I haven't seen beyond season 1. The show's very standard magical girl stuff until there's a point halfway through the series where it gets amazing for 10 minutes.
Also, should probably preface this though. In this universe, unlike the other ones of Fate, where Ilya is trying to be part of the Holy Grail War and murder everything with the giant hulking mass of muscle as her sidekick. She is just a basic middle school kid. She goes to school, she does the things that she does there. She also apparently has a slight obsession with anime, because, like, literally episode 1 shows her binge watching a magical girl
A
series.
slight
Ha ha.
obsession. And then she
No.
has an entourage of crazy pals.
Yep.
That fucking hyperactive thing, better stay away from it.
Yeah, there's one in particular who's, like, just absolutely bouncing off the walls, full of energy. I'm like, I wish I could be that energetic again. Those were the fun days.
I wish I could get out of bed with any energy.
And then also, Ilya has a slight brother complex, as we were commenting earlier.
No comment. Move on.
Idiot, you have to go to horny jail.
No. Anyway, yeah. So basically, it's them fighting versions of the servants from Stay Night. So, like, I believe, isn't it Assassin first, then Caster, and then it gets interesting of the third person who shows up. Because I was not expecting this one. Saber Alter.
It's just like
I believe.
dark music emanates, and all of a sudden it's just like, bitch, we just turned you up to night.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Saber Alter is it's different because all the other servants are basically Saber Alter is basically, well, you know how like they have like the dark reflection in media of a character. That's basically the dark reflection of Artorier, I believe.
Yeah, that's more or less what the altars are. It's just the darker side of them unleashed, and also it makes them have white hair and yellow eyes.
Doesn't she turn up in Heaven's Feel?
Yes. I don't remember the exact circumstance for why she exists in Heaven's Feel, but she does exist in Heaven's Feel. Man, that last movie needs to get dubbed, or like just needs to come out and then get dubbed so I can binge all 3 of them.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So basically, it leads to Ilya using Archer's card.
Oh yeah, one of the few cards that they don't actually end up fighting for some reason. But yeah, no.
They had Archer in the beginning, didn't they?
Yeah, no, they had Archer in the beginning, and then when Mew shows up, she already has the Lancer card. So I'm assuming those are like the only 2 cards that didn't get transformed into
which is
altars or whatever.
I think they were the first to fight in Stay Night, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Archer and Lancer were the first to cross.
I believe the thing with Lancer and Archer's cards is revealed in Season 2, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
we'll worry about that later.
Anyway, we'll come back to that next time. Anyway, so yeah, basically, it leads to her basically taking on a form that basically has her in Archer's outfit.
Oh yeah,
with his abilities.
Yeah, no, to explain that one real quick, because we kind of did gloss over that. The class cards in for the servants can be used in 2 different ways, apparently. You can either use them with the stick, which then transforms their wands into the weapons of the characters. You see Ilya do this with the Archer card, and she ends up with his bow. And then Mew also does this with
Mew's Lancers to get his lance.
And you can also do what's known as an install, which, that's actually the terms for it. You have install, which is the thing that Ilya does with the Archer card to take on its form, and then there's the include, which does the weapon transformation thing. But yeah, no, freaking Ilya just out of nowhere just decides, hey, I'm going to do this, and just installs the Archer card into herself and becomes a total badass for like 10 minutes, and it's honestly like the best fight in the season.
I think it's it's the best fight. I mean, that's kind of the thing I will say about Ilya season 1. It's okay. It's like I wouldn't call it like one of the best things. Because if you want what I think is the best that Fate has to offer in terms of anime, Zero or Last Encore. But I think Ilya's fine.
Well, I mean, we all know how you like Last Encore.
Yeah, it's because of the artwork.
Right, yeah, totally. Not anything to do with the saber in that series.
The way I like more Season 1, from what I remember, is slow beginning, then the fight with Saber Ultra is like the big peak, but then it kind of slows down again, and
Up until the final round where it's them versus Berserker.
Well, it's
My
kind of like even
boy.
when Miu uses, it's like not as. I think it's mostly because she's fighting like friggin' Berserker, who can like
Yeah.
regenerate, which is his BS ability.
well, I think Berserker because I believe he's meant to be Hercules. He has
Yeah.
13 lives because of the 13 trials he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
So you
the
have to
thing that
kill him.
that's the thing that they even have to deal with in the main universe. It's like, oh, why isn't he dead? Because he can regenerate. He has lives. Haha, video game logic.
Why aren't you dead? Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of thing. That's why I haven't really rushed to watch season 2 of Ilya. I think it's fine, but yeah. And there's my
Yeah.
complex feelings on Ilya, everyone.
Also, I love the thing with the Archer class card. It's like, give them a bow, install. No, I'm not using the bow. I'm going to go dual swords.
Well, that's because the Pacific Archer that
Yeah.
she's loaded. It's just for whatever reason, this was. I mean, obviously, it's probably just because it's fate, and this is the one Archer that they always lean on. Is that it auto defaults to the Archer from Stay Night, and what does he do?
Because it's based because the universe is based on Stay Night.
I mean, what does he do most of the time? It's like, yeah, he runs around with a bow, but he also has a pair of dual blades that he mostly plays with.
I do like the blades, though. Yeah.
I mean, every servant from Ilya is from Stay Night,
Pretty much.
except well.
No, actually, there was
Yeah,
one
Alter
that
counts.
wasn't Stay Night. There was, I believe, the assassin was the one from Zero. Because the assassin from Stay Night was the samurai dude that Castor controlled.
Oh yeah.
I thought Medusa was Stay Night.
Oh yeah, Medusa was Stay Night.
No, that's Raider. I'm thinking of that's Raider.
Yeah, no, Medusa's a writer, which she did show up. They did fight her.
Yeah, I get confused. The classes in Fate are confusing. I don't get them.
You can have multiple different characters be different classes, and it's like, right, which one are you this time?
It's like really funny if you consider a Grand Order where you can really screw around with that. Hey, look, it's Lancer from Stay Night, but he's a caster now and competent. What?
I'm just sitting there going, yes, it's like how I remember every stand Joe. I don't remember half of them, or what they do. Anyway,
that's a thing and a half.
You get like, but no, honestly, my favorite part of this show was Rin and Luffy because I thought they were hilarious.
They are. They're good comedic relief.
It's just because like Rin is like in like all the other versions, it's like calm, and then there's this.
Well, yeah, like
basically,
Rin and like all the other ones is a very calm, calculating tsundere type, and then this one she is the complete opposite. She's still like smart and stuff, but she is much more irrational. She runs off emotion much higher, and then of course she and Luvia continue to have their never-ending back and forth with each other. Also, they're just like regular high school students in this universe too.
Yep.
Which
they constantly go at each other for shame.
Yeah, I think that only comes up like once this season, but yeah, no, they both have a thing for Shiro. Which basically means Shiro has himself a micro harem and doesn't even realize it.
Because who could resist this guy?
It's too bad one of the harem is a no.
Did you say? I think you forgot to mention no.
It's just like it's just like the big. As soon as he looks at Ilya, it's just like red flags everywhere, alarms going off.
Oh God!
No times no. Divided by no to the power of oh hell no.
I understood that reference.
I mean, overquoted as that is around us, it's still still a pretty good line.
Watch Demon Lord as well.
Watch how not to summon a Demon Lord. You gotta say the full title, because how many fucking anime have the name Demon Lord in it?
I'm trying to think actually how many do.
Because I imagine that's a very common term in the anime sphere.
Okay,
so that's why you gotta be
title.
specific.
I'll be honest, considering how long some titles get in anime, I'm just like, anyway, yeah. So that is Fate, Collide, Prism, Ilia.
Collide Liner, yeah, Collide Liner, Prisma, Ilia. Fucking long ass title.
Exactly, that's what I was just saying. Yeah. So, anyone have any clothing?
Better magical girl series than anything Precure.
And my final review of it is watch Madoka Magica. Anything from you, Scotty?
And my final review is beware. This anime will make you go insane. Especially if you start watching. Oh boy, because just sitting watching these episodes go by, you're just like, okay, what insanity is going to happen next episode, and the next, and the next, and like...
How many anime could you drive like that, though?
Plenty.
Like Nambaka.
Yeah, plenty of anime like that, but then you have... Oh, you want to get moving on to AOT so we can talk about giants.
All I'm going to say is Umu, yes.
Also, don't wear maid costumes around Ilia.
No, Attack on Titan now.
Alright, moving along to AOT.
It's my time. I've ascended.
Yeah, since you just recently binged through this stuff, go for it. I will pipe in when I feel necessary.
Crunch is like the proud father, like he's finally done it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Okay, so we'll start off with my thought. Basically, when I first watched Attack on Titan back in 2013, I liked it. Hell, it was weird to say now, but it was like my favorite anime back when I was, an age-old teenager. But yeah. But then it took fucking forever for season 2 to come out. I think it was 4 years, so I was like, screw it. So I basically ignored Attack on Titan up till now. And then basically this man over here, this man Crunch, was like,
hi.
Because it was sort of like, yes, that guy. Yeah, it was sort of him and other people, because I've heard a lot of different opinions on Attack on Titan nowadays, especially because you either get people like my man Crunch here who are like, this is still good, or then you get lots of other people who are going, this is terrible now. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to watch this and come up with my own opinion. And yeah, so let's go for it. So season 2 is basically where I feel like it fixed a lot of the problems of season 1. Because the thing I think about season 1 is as much as I still remember liking it, I think the big problem with it is it just threw a lot of stuff at the audience. And I kind of get that because of how it was adapted. Because a lot of it just kind of throws all these side characters at you that just get killed in 2 episodes. So and then so it's weird because the pacing is really, and it just tears forward through the second half. I think season 2 of Attack on Titan slows down a lot and has is more character focused because you get stuff on Ryanair and Ymir and other characters like that. Oh, by the way, Ymir's best character. I miss Ymir. She was fun.
Yeah, she is a interesting character to say the least.
But no, best characters are really Hanji.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, no, but yeah, no. Season 2 was more character, and it was better for it because it slowed down the story a lot and actually reflected on a lot of stuff, on what happened in the first series, and actually brought lots of stuff. So the reveal of who the Armored and Colossal Titans were. So yeah, that all worked. And then you get to Season 3. Season 3 is basically where a lot of the backstory of Attack on Titan, well, all of it is revealed, if I'm correct.
More or less, yeah. I think there's a few things that they haven't quite Or there's a couple things I think that season 4 expands on a little bit, but most of it gets dropped in season 3.
Well, that's mostly just stuff relating to the yeah, they're more expansive. But yeah, I mean, it starts off with explaining like why the world of attack, why like the system is set up like that, so why there are like walls and everything. And there's like different type. There's like a something that goes back to what Aaron's dad did to like. So one of Aaron's comrades turns out to be like true heir to the throne, but like. Because Aaron's dad took it's called the founding Titan power, but he's like it's basically like god level Titan mode, I believe. So like he can like control other Titans and do other abilities, but because of like they want the power back. So basically, what the let's call her Astoria because that's the name. What Astoria's father wants to do is inject her with Titan juice because I'll explain in a minute, and have her eat Eren so she gains the founding Titan's abilities back, and she can save the world. But then again, there's also this thing of if she does it, then she's just complacent like her ancestor. But then they solve all of that, and it becomes good. And then they actually finally go in the basement because that was set up. And yeah, basically what was in the basement was, it turns out that the whole world of everything we've seen of Attack on Titan was taking place on an island, and there's a bigger country out there that's just like called Marley, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically because they're like a different race of people. They were put that they got sent to like live on this island away from them, so they didn't have to interact. Because a lot of this is, and you see it as well, because they're sort of treated as like second class citizens in this world. Like lower than that, even the race of people, versus the Marleyans and everyone else. But basically, it's revealed the Titans that attacked were because they wanted the founding Titans' powers. Because if they controlled it, they would control every Titan on the planet. But that's basically why everything has happened. They sent the colossal armored female and jaw Titans, even though they lost the jaw Titan. But yeah, who became Ymir? It's weird. So basically, and then so basically that's the whole setup. And basically, at the end they have this. Yeah, so it's basically, and in the setup to season 4, it becomes them versus the rest of the world.
That was adorable.
Well,
just listening to you trying to explain this is just adorable. No, I mean, yeah, you did hit a lot of it. Yeah, no, so basically to try and help expand on what he just said here, yeah, the whole thing takes place on an island, and pretty much everyone that's on it is known as a descendant of Ymir, because apparently in this universe there was the first Titan / I guess she was like a deity or something named Ymir, and then her powers were like split up into the 9 different shifter Titans that to exist, and like through the first 3 seasons you see like 5 or 6 of them, something like that. I think there's maybe only, I think actually there's only like 1 that you don't see.
Which is that one?
The Warhammer. Because you see all the rest of them. Because you see,
Warhammer's a separate thing, though.
It's still one of the shifter Titans. I don't.
Yeah, but
it doesn't show up in this one of these seasons. No.
I meant the story of that character is not involved in the story. That's what I meant.
Well, yeah, but like it still exists anyway. Yeah, so apparently, like everyone on this island is a descendant of Ymir and has the potential to transform into a Titan through one way or another. And yeah, there's another country that was also uses Titans for war and crap, and but a lot of them were sent to this island because because of their ability to turn into Titans, they're considered devils, as it were. And yes, very much a oppressed second-class citizenry kind of ordeal. Gee,
Symbolism.
The symbolism is thick in this one, especially, which is even funnier considering, a lot of people used to think that this franchise took place in, like, the area of, like, Europe somewhere, because all the buildings have very European architecture, instead of supposed to, like, Japanese architecture, and also, like, the naming scheme, like, everyone has a very European name. Apart from the actual Asians. The actual Asians are the only ones that have Asian names, funny enough. And even then, I think it's mainly me, because Levi is not exactly Asian, as far as the name goes.
Best scene in Attack on Titan is still the bit where he opens the toe.
Levi just busting the windows open while they're cleaning.
It's time to clean! No, it's weird because I actually wanted to talk. So basically, my favorite moments in season 2 and 12 moments. My favorite scene in season 2 was the bit where they're sitting in the tree. And okay, this is gonna sound really weird. Basically, the two Titans, Armored and Colossal, captured Ymir and Eren, and they were basically sitting in the tree. And one of them was basically having like a breakdown because he'd sort of gone into like a split personality state because he was both like a warrior, which is basically an agent for Marley, but he was also thought he was a soldier. So he'd basically gone like insane.
It's basically what happens when you're sent to do an infiltration and you get way too into the role that you lose sight of who you really are.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting to actually see them play that out in a story. Because you don't really see that very often in media, I feel like, where, like, you have someone doing this kind of thing where, like, they're playing an infiltration role, but they're really also... so, like, they'll put on a persona to blend in, but they're really here for something else. But you also got to remember that these are characters who are technically children/teenagers. That's something I think a lot of people tend to forget with this franchise, is that all of these characters are still technically, teenagers. At least a lot of them are. Obviously, there are still adults in the group, but a lot of the main ones that we follow are still teenagers, and living in a very screwed up reality where they're basically have been trained to become soldiers.
I just want to remind everyone, how old was the Colossal Titan during that first episode? Must have been like... how old was...
He would have had to been, like, probably in the same age range as Eren, and Eren was, like, 9 or 10, so maybe a little bit older, but regardless.
Like a 10-year-old did all of that in the first episode.
Yeah, no, literally these kids are, like, since we brought up the fact of Marley existing and all that stuff, the ones that are trained to be shifters literally are put through, like, a training regimen to, like, have them ready for this stuff. So they are, like, hardcore child soldiers, basically. And so it's like, when you realize that, and you realize, oh, so Reiner and Bertolt were kids when they decided to bust through Shiganshina and wreck everything. And then, of course, you keep in mind the fact that all of the main characters are also, like, in their teenage years as they're training to become Titan killers. It's just like, this reality is very fucked up, to put it mildly.
Also, I kept forgetting Bertolt existed. Because, like, his character is just kind of there.
He does, honestly, not do very much other than just being a part of the trio, as it were, with Reiner and Annie. And then, of course, Annie disappears after the end of Season 1 because she puts herself in a crystal.
I think Reiner is definitely the best character. I'd say of maybe all the shifters.
Mm-hmm.
That might actually be... Reiner, because the thing I like about Reiner, even in, like, the current season, he's still there. He's still like one of, like, because they focused on him a lot in, like, I'm watching with the dub, and last episode was fun.
I think the thing that's just to follow up on that, I think the thing about Reiner having so much focus in the current season is just the fact that, like, because they're showing it from the other side a little bit, like they're showing off what Marley does with like how they train new soldiers and new warrior candidates and all this crap. You're seeing it basically. You're seeing it from the enemy's perspective.
How even just how they're treated, the people.
Yeah, and it's just interesting seeing it from his point of view because like he's watching the next generation come up, and like he remembers what he went through with his buddies and all that stuff, and which also is like really interesting when there's one character that he talks to about trying to stop or like wants him to stop someone else from suffering this fate, because one thing that we haven't mentioned is that if you are a shifter titan, your lifespan immediately gets cut after like 13 years. Basically, from whatever point you inherit that power to 13 years in the future, that's it. So and in order for the powers to keep getting passed on, you basically have to have someone eat you.
Yeah.
It's a messed up cycle.
Well, apparently it's because something to do with, like, didn't the original Ymir only live, like, 13 years?
That part I don't remember. Like I said, I don't exactly remember what happened to the original Ymir that ended up with, like, her powers being split up and all this jazz.
I feel like they said the reason why, I could be wrong, I feel like the reason why they only live for, like, 13 years after they get the powers, because that's how long Ymir lasted. She was, yeah.
Like I said, I don't quite remember that one.
Yeah, my favorite bit in season 3 was the part with, it's everything from Irvin's last charge against the Beast Titan to Levi coming in looking just like the most insane character in the series, just slicing him down. And the Beast Titan is like not an easy like opponent.
No,
by any strength lent for the imagination.
Yep. Well, for those who are watching the video, I have 3 of the posters up, and in the third poster on the right side, you can see like something looking like a giant monkey. That's the Beast Titan, which is also so far the only Titan shifter that has been shown to be able to talk while in Titan form.
I don't get that, but
my theory on that is because the person that's in it is probably spent so much time in training and whatnot. They probably have enough control over it to be able to actually like vocalize while they're in that form, and like you actually see this in season 4, like one of the other Titans does a similar thing where they actually talk while they're in Titan form. So I'm guessing it's a matter of how much control you have over those bodies to be able to do that. And maybe the other ones that we see, like Reiner, Bertolt, and of course Eren, don't have as much control over their powers to be able to do that.
No, the last episode, I love how
I've seen of Reiner, he probably just doesn't care.
Also, because his Titan's mouth sort of stays shut the whole time.
Yeah, his Titan is a little bit weird with that one. Yep. I feel like the only time they ever really...
The Armored Titan.
Huh?
I love it. I do love the Armored Titan, as I like to call it, the Kool-Aid Titan.
Oh, yeah!
I mean, I still love the joke that Team 4-Star did when they were doing Abridged, was he busts through the wall and starts playing Brock Lesnar's opening theme from WWE. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, there is a reason for that.
I know.
No, I do love how the last episode ended. Basically, Eren doing that bit where he busts out behind. Is the guy like the whole scene is basically this one this one guy who's like part of this family that's like one of the most powerful in the world, but they're also like descendants. I think like they're also in the like descendants of Ymir, aren't they?
Wait, which one are you talking about?
You know the guy who like is the guy who's like, I think his name's Willie. The guy who's like making the speech about he's basically like the figure guy for them.
Oh, right.
In season 4, that guy.
And
basically he's like, Yeah,
Timer.
basically, him. So he's basically making the speech of everyone going, guys, the Titans are going to destroy the world. Eren Yeager, we should all really come together and stop him. And Eren busts through the wall behind him, Titan form, and just goes, and it's like, surprise, motherfucker.
No, he wasn't through the wall behind it. He was underneath him.
Yeah.
Aaron Reiner and someone else were having a conversation literally under that stage, and then Aaron decides to transform and just be like, surprise, bitch!
No, he was behind him underneath the building, I believe.
So I saw that clip, and I don't remember seeing Eren actually, because I know the whole thing with shifters is if they like hurt themselves to transform.
He had a cut in his hand, I think, and he touched Reiner. I think that activated it somehow.
Well, I know Annie had the ring thing where she literally just flicked to a.
Well, literally, the trigger for transformation is you give yourself a minor injury, and then you have some kind of intent to do something.
I think his intent.
Because that was the thing in the first season where like he first is trying to figure out how to make his powers work, and so he would like bite his hand and try and like force the transformation, but he had like no reason to do it other than just trying to do it. And then like a few minutes later, he's trying to pick up a spoon, but his hand's like messed up, and all of a sudden he generates a Titan hand just for the sake of that, and it's like really stupid. But it's just like, but they figure out through that, it's like, oh, you have to have some kind of reason or purpose while you're doing this. And I'm guessing now that he's had a few years to like get control over this, he probably doesn't, it's probably not as reliant on that, but he was also kind of in a messed up state then anyway, like, because right before he did that, he had like one of his legs was missing, and I think one of his eyes was also out.
He just regenerates that leg.
Which, yeah, that just goes to show how much control he's clearly gained over the last few years, is that he can choose not to regenerate body parts. So he basically was posing as like someone who had just come back from war and had like all these messed up injuries. But really, no, it was just him.
I think it's also interesting for us to talk about Eren's like progression, because you compare him in like the first season to now, it's like night and day.
Whiny bitch to. I don't care anymore.
No, he's just sitting there like, hey Reiner, I want to have a nice chat. Take a seat. Yeah.
It's time to tell you about the birds and the bees.
Well, I think like it's just kind of interesting, like as you said, like looking at the way Eren progresses over the seasons, because like I know a lot of people have said how they don't like the way Eren's character ends up, because he kind of transforms from being, you know, your typical shonen angry protagonist into kind of a villain. But
I just want to point out something. Remember what he was doing in episode 2? I'm gonna kill all the Titans.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, I think that's something that a lot of people kind of forget, is that he's kind of always been like this. It's like, ever since the first episode, where, like, he gets to see, like, even the first episode, where, like, he wants to go beyond the walls and, you know, see what's out there, and also, you know, free humanity from the tyranny of the Titans, and all that. Like, he's always had that kind of, like, murderous intent. And then, you know, after they find out what's really going on in their world and all this jazz, it just shifts to, okay, we know who our next enemy is, let's go get him. And then eventually just turns into, let's just fuck up the entire world. Like, we're gonna fuck up the entire world so none of them will ever bother us again. And I'm yeah, this kind of fits for him, honestly.
Well, considering the fact that, like, how the world treats, like, the people, his people, it's like, because I think one of the kids even says, like, it's like the Marlians treated them better than a lot of other countries, and the Marlians were the ones that literally were like, okay, let's drop these guys onto the battlefield and then have them turn into Titans to just drop straight there.
Yeah, the Marlians literally utilize these characters as weapons of war, which is fucked up in its own respect.
Yeah, it's like, that's how sick this world is.
So So yeah, like it makes sense to me that like Eren would kind of go completely ballistic, and the more that you see of the series and like just what they go through, it's like it still makes sense to me. Like it's silly in a way, and I will freely admit that, but this entire franchise is just goofy as hell, so whatever, just kind of fits.
I also want to point out the fact this is about people fighting giants that want to eat them with really dumb expressions half the time.
Well, I mean, it was up until this current season.
But yeah, no, also, like, I also want to talk about some other things, like, about Season 4's animation. I don't think it's that bad. Watch the fuss. Because, like, I've seen a lot of people complaining about the CGI, and I'm like, did you see the CGI Colossal Titan in Season 3?
Or was it Season 3 or Season 2 where he, like, falls off the wall?
Oh, it was Season 2 that happens.
Yeah, no, that sequence was just like, ooh, that did not look good.
I think the bit where it's falling looks fine. It's just when it's on the wall in CGI mode, ew. But yeah, no, I think the CGI, because Studio Mappa are doing it now instead of Wit, and I know that's been divisive for people, but because the art styles changed, but because there's been like such a progression in the world, and it's like a completely different take on the story from the 3 before, I think it works. Plus, Mappa with other series like Dora has shown that they can work with CGI really effectively. So I think the Titan models look fine.
Yeah, I don't really have any complaints with the models, with the Titans so far. They look pretty good. I mean, the new Colossal Titan looks pretty good when you actually see him.
Yeah, Armin is the Colossal Titan.
Yep.
That joke they kept making with Armin becoming He-Man, and I was just like, oh.
I have the power! Boom! I am a nuke!
Oh, God.
I mean, if you really think about it, the Colossal Titan is basically a nuke with how much power and energy that thing lets off when you transform.
I'm surprised it didn't destroy the wall by itself in the first episode.
Probably could have if he left it alone long enough. Then again, controlled by a 10-year-old, so maybe he didn't have enough stamina to hold that thing.
Yeah.
Also, it just vaporizes itself, which is still kind of amazing, the fact that it can vanish that quickly.
I think in Season 4 it's shown that it's on the ground.
But no, like in Season 1 where you first see it, it's there and then it disappears, like, just completely. And then later on, after, like, they've gone through all this training and stuff, and it reappears in Trost, and, like, you see Eren actually try to take a swipe for the nape, and then it just blows a ton of steam and vanishes. And like, it just completely vaporizes.
He's just crouching down and no one can see him.
He's using the ancient stealth technique of covering his face with his arm.
With his massive spindly arms.
You can't see me. If I can see you, then you can't see me. Oh, God. Yeah. I'm still watching it. I enjoy it. I don't think it's like I used to, but I'm gonna finish it.
Oh yeah, no, I am 100% in for this ride to finish this and see how it ends. And based on like stuff that I've been told through like about how things are right now in the manga, I am hoping that Mappa will actually animate all of that stuff. I'm not gonna say what it is, obviously, because that's spoilers, so I don't want to spoil too much for anyone that's watching Season 4, but man, there's a thing that gets really goofy, and I'm so hoping to see this get animated, because that would be funny as hell.
I know what you're talking about.
Well, yeah,
anyway, anyway, can we talk about the funniest censorship?
Oh, yeah, so this came out recently, and this is probably where we'll end our little discussion for this on. Apparently in Malaysia, they have to censor the Attack on Titan manga, and more specifically, they censor the Titans by putting pants on them, and it's hilarious.
I love just call it pants when they just shade in.
Yeah,
heavy shading.
That's what I was thinking.
It is the funniest freaking thing. It's just like,
You transform into a Titan, you get an instant pair of skin-tight shorts.
well, I mean, it's more or less. It could also be just like the Hulk, where like most of his clothes shred except his pants because they can't have him running around naked.
Yeah, but since we can't let them see the butts. Oh God. Anyway, that's our funny little moment of the day. That exists.
Yep, that's a thing. Anyway, now it
let's
is
move
time
on
for Scotty to shine as he talks about Gundam, and we just go, "What the fuck?"
Okay, I'm gonna go get the popcorn.
All right, Scotty, floor is all yours. Go nuts.
So I'm probably going to be the only one of this trio that has a very intricate knowledge of this subject, because the other two chaotic people have really no interest in this show.
I mean, as I mentioned to you before, Turn A Gundam this one.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Turn 8. I'm going to talk about the sort of like current generation of Gundam shows, the build series, which are essentially the Gundam people trying to get the people who are buying the model kits into watching the shows by basically making the model kits part of the show.
This is Codfight Vanguard now, I see. God damn it.
Yeah.
This just kind of This just sounds like Metabots, but with bigger robots.
Sounds like we need to merchandise.
I'm going to be discussing the Build Divers series and Divers Re-Rise, which were the two airing shows at the time. What Divers was 2018, Re-Rise was 2019/2020. So Divers is essentially what would happen if you took the model kits and integrated them into a massive multiplayer online role-playing game.
I should actually point out, just because I have them on the screen right now and I'm looking at them, the poster for the first one literally says "Play the Gunpla" on the screen.
Yep.
Buy the toy!
Well, buy the display piece, because if you use the model kits as a toy, they're going to break very easily.
Alright, while you do that, I'm just going to start assembling.
Now, the plot of the show is we have our main character Riku, who is the boy in the middle in the blue with the brown hair. Him and his pal are playing the game, and the game gets buggy as all hell. And they're basically there going, "Oh shit, we need to fix this." And there we go. There's the plot of the entire show. Boys, fix the game.
That sounds really wet. I
It
assume
gets
there's
weird.
more to it than that.
Yeah, there is more to it. So the story basically devolves into our main characters, who you see on the screen. We have Riku, his boyfriend. I say boyfriend because that guy down the bottom corner basically hugs him left, right, and centre. The female interest of the show, who's the pink-haired lassie, and Sarah, who is the best character in the show.
I believe you.
She is the problem. She becomes the main problem of the show because, well, she's causing all the bugs.
Huh.
She's not human. She's essentially a life form that was created because there was a glitch in the game where everybody's feelings for their gunpla got merged into one being. It's complicated. We'll throw it out the window right now because the plot is bullshit. Yeet.
So it's a Yu-Gi-Oh series.
Yeah, it's Yu-Gi-Oh but with mechs.
That sounds way more interesting than it probably is.
I was gonna say, it's like, that almost sounds cool.
Now, I'm not going to explain how every episode of the show, but basically we have our heroes going through training montages, big battles, tournament. There's a small tournament arc. Our main character gets beat the fuck up in the tournament arc and has to come back with a new gunpla to sell more toys.
So, do they actually control the Gundams, or do they get into the?
They do control them technically. How the game works is it's essentially a VR MMO similar to SAO. They either have a terminal in their homes, or as Riku does, he goes to his local store and pays after school and pays to use it using his allowance money. And when you log in, you put the headset on, you set your model kit, which you've built in real life, because the kit you use in the game is the kit you built in real life.
This just sounds like Dragon Ball Heroes, but it's
And you put the model kit on a stand. The stand scans it, and then when you play the game, that's your kit. That's your gate. That's you for the rest of the game.
so it's Skylanders.
And depending on how, and the way this game is bullshit is depending on how well you built your kit is how powerful it is. So the more effort, time, if you've basically the more effort you put into it, the better you're going to be.
You stick more guns on the side.
So essentially, if you want to have the best, you need to go maximum effort.
Yep. Or as in the well, it'd be funny you say that because with our main character, his first mecha little goes on. I'm going to give it like 10 different swords. That's how I'm going to win.
All of the blades just turned into an attack helicopter.
Unlimited blade works. Oh.
So the finale ends up being a big battle royale where we have a coalition made up of people who play the game who are trying to get rid of Sarah because Sarah's damaging the game and could potentially lead it to getting shut down, and these people have no lives. Because another weird thing about this online game is people actually have jobs in it, and people actually can earn a living playing the game.
Is it sad? This sounds way more interesting than the mainline Gundam series.
It honestly kind of does. I'm not even going to lie.
Because there's a character in it called Maggie who literally owns a bar he owns a bar in real life, but he also owns one inside the game where people can come in, and he's a dealer in information. So if you want information, you go to him.
I mean, you did say this was like an MMO kind of thing, didn't you?
It's both, hurry.
But there's no NPCs. It's similar to what they did. Similar to, I'm going to say, Fallout 76, where everybody you encounter is an actual human. There's basically no NPCs beside AI Gundams, which you can fight in training modes and raid battles. Because of course there's raid battles. It's an MMO.
Quick, take your giant robots and fight this even bigger robot.
Oh, trust me, they get big.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Do they punch planets, though?
We'll get to Re-Rise in a minute.
I always love when you can say something just to be snarky and then like it actually connects to something.
I was making a Gurren joke.
Yeah.
Gurren Lagann is still a good mecha. We can talk about that as its own topic because I'll probably take up a whole video.
Yeah, we'll do that eventually.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not going to spoil the ending because the ending is actually something that made me cry. And
damn Scotty, you're really selling me on this.
There's three things that make me cry, and Crunch knows two of these things now.
I know one of them off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember what the other one was.
Well, this one makes me cry, and Release the Space makes me cry.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Well, now, getting on to its sequel, Re-Rise, which actually is like a direct sequel, which takes place... They don't specify how many years, but the cast of divers does come back later on in the show, like in the second season of the second season.
Are they like older and whatnot? That whole thing.
It's implied that they're older, but cause in game they can make their models however they want, and they still use like the younger looking models. There's a few slight changes here and there. If you've watched Divers, you'll notice them, but I doubt you guys will actually sit down and watch it.
I mean,
if I'm bored enough, maybe.
I mean, you're really selling me on this. Keep going.
So Re-Rise starts off with our main protagonist, Hiroto, who's a loner. He is a lone wolf. The whole kind of premise for this show when it was revealed was the characters in the show are all lone wolves. They don't like working as a team. They like to be the main star of the show. But they're then thrown into a situation where they need to act as a team, and they kind of suck at it.
I'm just sitting there thinking, like, about like all the Yu-Gi-Oh spin-offs and how like only like GX did like any of the other characters, like the original cast, turn up. Because I'm pretty sure it's implied in Yu-Gi-Oh this, because there's such a massive gap in time between each series. Pretty sure like it has been like this has been challenged before, but pretty much every Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist is dead by the time the next one turns up.
Well, it is revealed in 5Ds that I think Pegasus died and he was the inspiration for Domino City.
Oh yeah, the Pegasus Memorial.
Yeah, but
yeah, back to Gundam.
Hiroto's Gunpla. Funny you mentioned planets, because all his suits are based off of the planets of the solar system. The main one in season 1 being the Earth 3, etc. But essentially what happens is the 5 main characters are pulled into what they think is a new campaign mode for the online game. And they think they're playing just a game, that everybody else is an NPC AI and that nothing really bad happens. But as it goes on, you get to see things like maybe this isn't a campaign mode. We'll get to that. But so we have Hiroto, the main character, basically doesn't want to work with anybody because of a thing that happened in the past. Hates. He's very. He makes what's his name, Kirito from Sword Art Online look like he has emotions.
Oh my god!
Wow, that's impressive.
You're not selling me anymore, Scotty. Go back to trying to sell me. I need more sales pitches.
He gets better, but at the beginning he's very deadpan. He is adamant that he works alone. We have Kazumi, who is basically a friend of ours. I nearly said something there and broke a rule.
Yeah.
And Parv, who is just an innocent little snowflake. Parv is the wee guy you see with the furry ears in the middle of the poster. Looks like he's wearing a green cloak.
Oh boy.
It's revealed in real life the reason he plays the game is because he lost the ability to walk, so he uses the game as a way for him to interact with people.
Huh.
He's also mega rich. He basically owns a whole country.
Oh damn.
He's a prince. He's the younger brother of a character you meet in the original dive is called Shariar, but that guy's a douche. We won't talk about him. I don't like that character. Parv is good. His Gunpla is actually quite awesome. It's essentially a Valkyrie. And then we have May, who's another AI thing. She's technically alive, but she's also technically not.
I have a question.
Yeah?
Why are there furries in Gundam?
Because why not? There's furries in everything.
It's an MMO, so of course you can customize your character.
Yeah. I mean that is fair.
All of the ears.
Furries are for lords.
It's revealed at the end of season 1 that yes, this isn't a campaign mode. These guys have essentially been transported to another planet, and they kill a lot of people. They basically cause mass genocide because somebody decided to open their mouth and reveal the location of a base, which then proceeds to get orbital bombarded.
So is this a Gundam Isekai from long distance? What?
It's Digimon.
I guess you could call an isekai, but
probably better than most of the isekai.
You said they go to another planet, and I thought they were playing a video game. So what?
Stuff like that. It sounds like Bakugan at this point, which is just making me feel old.
The reason they can they basically teleport to another planet is because one of the people that live on the planet essentially calls for help, and apparently this planet has a connection to the online game, which...
This is Bakugan.
So they meet the main villain, who, since I watched it in the sub, is voiced by Aster Phoenix from GX.
Edo, yeah.
and he is cool as fuck. He essentially gives no fucks because he was left alone by his creators and feels like these people that are on the planet that now are invaders and should die.
Well, Edo was one of the best characters in GX, so...
Essentially, when Kazumi reveals the location of the base, he immediately goes, alright, I'm going to blow it up, and then the heroes basically go, oh shit, maybe this isn't a game anymore, and actually basically get PTSD
You
at the
die in the
beginning of the
game, you die in
second.
real life. Yeah. Sorry,
So
Scotty.
at the start of season 2, we essentially have like 2 to 3 episodes where the characters actually won't fight because they feel like they fucked up until they're contacted again by the people and are basically begged to come back.
What are they fighting for?
So they all go back, they have new kits because of course they have to sell more toys.
It's the answer to everything. Toy sales must go through the roof.
And the main villain of the show basically takes a back seat because after he fired his orbital bombardment, he wasted all the energy he'd stored up and now had to wait for a recharge cycle. So he sends down his lackey to go after them, and his lackey is actually quite overpowered. And he also copies our main hero's Gundam system, which you see in the background of the poster, and essentially creates an evil version of it which he can control from orbit and takes the fight into his own hands because his lackey kind of fucks up.
Know.
New mechas, they kind of have to have that one bit where they're plot immune.
I was just thinking, the old phrase of, if you can't get someone else to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Now, it is revealed near the end of the show that Sarah May, they're not they're not data as what people originally thought they were. People thought they were just amalgamated data that gained consciousness and created bodies, but instead they're the people from the planet that this guy is protecting who left the planet from a war but died on the way there, so they transferred their consciousness into a signal they were receiving from Earth, which was the server signal for the online game, and thus created bodies for themselves in the digital space.
It sounds really convoluted.
And
yeah,
so
it just sounds like it keeps getting weirder.
The finale of the show is literally another battle royale where the entirety of this online game basically has to fight off the main villain because he uses the signal to transport all his warships from the planet into the game, and says that if he wants to eradicate all problems to his existence, which now includes planet Earth, but he cannot physically go to planet Earth, so he basically has to kill everybody in the game, but they won't die in game. They just get logged out and just log back in and just be like, "Hey, you killed us. We're just going to keep coming back. Keep coming back. We're going to keep coming back."
Huh.
And then, of course, we have I'm going to punch a hole in a planet.
Because, of course, there's one of those.
Anime. God. So, what do you actually like about these shows?
I do like the fact they're trying to get the people who just buy the model kits into watching the shows, because there are a lot of people who, like me, collected the kits but didn't really watch the shows at first.
Wasn't it
I did eventually get into
Sorry.
watching the shows, but I just like the model kits because it's a relaxing pastime. You get to sit down, build something.
Wasn't hasn't like the Gundam anime the gone out of fashion recently? Wasn't the last one Iron-Blooded Orphans?
I think so, yeah.
The last one the build series is kind of taken over the new because They're easy to produce. They're easy to tie in and make toys for.
Plus,
Iron-Bodied
most
Orphans was the last one to be like an official, like, this isn't your. Because the build series focuses on it being more of a kids thing where it's the model kits, the kids aren't really taking damage, it's no child soldier business, no actual war.
I think the thing about Gundam is a lot of it kind of blends together. I feel
Yep.
it could just be me, but that's just how I see it. Especially with a lot of the Gundam design.
But
Yeah.
the shows themselves, I do like the fact they're trying to tie it in. The characters are interesting. A few of them are your generic anime character tropes. Some have actually got unique personalities. There's Ayame from the original Divers, who's basically a ninja girl, and she's a huge Gundam nerd,
I
but
think I
tries
know
to
who you
hide it.
speak of. I think I know who you speak of.
And in Re-Rise, my favourite character has to be Parvus because he's just. His backstory makes you really feel sad for him.
Ah. So, yeah.
Being paraplegic, but let's get to the things I don't like about it.
Alright, here's the fun part, everyone.
And now he
Mainly
treads the show.
the fact that, yes, whilst they do tie in the toys to the show, the fact is, see when you finish the show and there's the one thing you really, 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 really want for it, that's the one they don't make the toy out of.
That's why they do that.
Yeah, there's literally suits you see in the show that are used by some of the main characters. They don't get released. Don't know why, don't know how, and also for the fact that a lot of the kits you'll buy for the Diver series and the Fighter series, etc., are all the smaller size kits, which are nice, but a lot of collectors like me prefer the bigger size kits because they have a bunch more shelf presence. They look nicer on display, they have a lot more detail, and they're usually not as fiddly because the smaller the kit, the more tiny parts, and that's when it gets really, really painful when it starts cutting blood out of you.
Huh.
And then there's also the voice act.
Huh?
For people who don't know, the Build series originally, for the first two seasons it had, which were Build Fighters and Build Fighters Try, were Filipino dubs.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't need to explain much more than that, because if you've ever heard a Filipino dub, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the Diver series where they got bang zoom into the thing and we actually got some half decent voice actors. Like,
Which
for
is.
instance, Kazame in Re-Rise is voiced by Alejandro Sab.
Hmm.
And our main character Hiroto is voiced by Billy Kamens, otherwise known as Josuke.
It's not bad.
Yeah, the voice acting definitely took a very good improvement.
Yep.
Also, there's a character in the show that's a ferret. He's funny as hell, and in the sub, he is voiced by Aizen from Bleach. And
Everything went according to his plan in the end. He became a ferret.
it's better than becoming a fairy.
Ooh.
Now, would I recommend the shows? Yes. They're good to binge, only 25 episodes each. So you can literally throw them out in about a couple of days if you have free time. I wouldn't binge them one after the other. I would watch Divers, take a wee break, watch Re-Rise, because you're going to burn yourself out just basically watching people play with their toys and act all serious about it.
What are you talking
Wait,
about? That's everyone.
a show that's about selling toys and the characters in it trying to act all serious. Wow, this is a toy product.
Ooh. Ooh.
Ooh,
Ooh.
wee.
Ooh. He's not wrong, though.
And this has been
Yeah.
your rant on Gundam from the Scotsman, but I do believe I have ranted a lot.
What are you going to say, Crunch?
No, I was just gonna say it's like after that little burn, I feel like one of these days we're gonna have to actually like address that on this show, just as like a one-off.
Oh no!
It'll be our one time where we tap that little wall.
Oh god!
It'll just be like an hour of us ripping things to shreds.
Oh god! Yeah.
I'll just put a rip and tear on the screen.
Come back in about 10 episodes for that or something.
Yeah, when we don't want to bash our brains in about the fucking spandex.
Yeah. So thank you for all watching this episode.
Yeah.
And please subscribe, please like, please comment, because we have to say that now because YouTube. Also follow us on Twitter because we have a Twitter now.
Should probably start putting that in the description.
I have. They're all of the videos they have the Twitter link in the description. Retroactively, because I can edit stuff.
The power of editing. Yeah. It's a wonderful thing.
Power of editing means not everything we say turns up in the video. Yes, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Is there anything you'd like to say, gentlemen?
Not really, other than still waiting to see what these people think chaos stands for.
What does it mean? Comment below. Anything from the Scotsman?
All I have to say is, arrivederci.
I thought you were going to say needs more Yuri. Anyway, see you next time.
No, because we haven't got to season 2 of fucking Yuri yet.
Umu.